Remove you, bring you back. Hello, welcome to the Mark Attwood Show, Adventures in a Cosmic Suit. Today, I have a very special guest, Jeanette Archer. Hello, Jeanette.
Hi, Mark. Thank you for having me.
So, I think your T-shirt says it all. Jeanette Archer,
so, yeah.
Exposing Satanic Ritual Abuse. Now, you are a former, I don't know what the right terminology is, so why don't you explain?
I am a survivor of satanic ritual abuse. Yeah.
I very nearly said the V word, the other V word.
Sometimes that's the right thing to say, you know, but for me, no, I'm on the survivor side of things now. But of course, at once I was a victim. So.
Yeah, because I know that's really important. And, you know, a lot of this last couple of years is exposing how important language is. And so it's a very empowering word to say that you're a survivor. And what you're about to do, it's amazing, right? So I'll just tell everybody on the 26th of June in London at Hyde Park at midday, I think it is.
Yeah.
You are speaking and there's going to be a rally, a march, finally exposing in public, because this is the thing that nobody will allow into their heads. This is the thing, isn't it? This is the one thing that is keeping everybody locked into the matrix, because I've been going on about this subject online, in person for over 12 years. And the amount of people that just do this is unreal. So, but that's me. I mean, I was abused slightly as a child. I mean, I don't know, there's a sliding scale, but I think there is. I mean, SRA is a completely different kettle of fish. So I've rambled here just because my viewers are watching and I just want to get, I don't really know I never know where I'm going with these things, but what I'd like to do is hand over to you and let you say whatever it is that you want to say.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, agree with everything you've just said. I think the only thing I'd say, which is good, that different to what you've just said, is nowadays, thankfully, a lot of people are not happy, willing to listen to the truth about satanic ritual abuse. So, yes, once upon a time, nobody could cope with it. Nobody wanted to know. It was the taboo subject. Even in the police, you know, they didn't even really know about it. So things have changed. They have moved on massively, and there is a huge awareness out there now. The reason why I did what I did, I spoke out publicly just over a year ago now, because I always knew that the more survivors that could speak out, the more we take back our power and the less power they have. So the more their Achilles heel, if you like, is exposure. They're very clever in satanic cults by making sure that never happens or minimalizing the chance of that happening. So there are few of us around like myself that can do this coherently and adequately. But that number is growing and growing, you know, week in, week out. I mean, just in the year that I spoke out, my story is now global. It went global very quickly. And I have survivors right from the beginning, you know, contacting me from all around the world, and then they're speaking out. So, you know, the ripple effect has been mind-blowing for me. I didn't imagine that would happen, you know, in my wildest dreams, even though it was my wildest dream for that to happen, you know. So exposure is absolutely the way we stop it and the way we bring them down. And that is probably the only thing they actually fear, which is why they put so much effort into silencing survivors like myself. But, you know, I've done what I've done now. Yeah, the next step is June the 26th, where I'm going to be going to London, which for me, that is going back to where I was satanically abused. That's their turf. So, you know, it's quite symbolic that I want to go back to London and do the big, right, you know, here I come speech. you know, it's everything you'd imagine. You know, it's scary and all that stuff, but my determination to stop children from going through this overrides everything. You know, and if anything happens to me, I feel that I've got to a point where I will feel at peace with the fact that I've done enough now for the ball to be rolling. I do see that it's game over for them. I've always seen that we would win this war, so to speak. But I think what's really important now is that everybody has the courage to listen to survivors of SRA and be able to hear the details. Because, you know, my story is historical, but for example, the 21st of June, which is days away, there will be babies and children sacrificed and tortured and raped, you know, all around the world, because it's a big ritual date. So it still goes on today, obviously. It goes on in every city in the UK. It goes on in most of the villages in the UK. There are cults everywhere. They have infiltrated every single one of our institutions. And, you know, time's running out before they... sorry, let me just silence that, Mark. Before they take over completely. So, you know, the timing now to do what we need to do as, let's say, warriors, is crucial. It's absolutely crucial. So everybody must back this, because every single thing that's going on this planet today, and let's face it, we're living in very serious times, but every single thing, if you peel back the layers, you will come down to satanic ritual abuse, and you will come down to their need for adrenochrome. So everybody needs to face this, and everybody needs to support what we're doing now. Because if we're left to stand alone as survivors of this, it's game over for saving the babies and the children in future from going through this.
Well, I mean, this is the war to end all wars, and SRA is at the heart. Well, Satanism is at the root of everything that we're all experiencing right now.
100%.
And that's the thing that I've been laughed about for saying for years and years and years. And, you know, as a survivor, the fact that it's just wonderful to see. It's wonderful to see, because I've been involved in this on the periphery for many years, and there was one point in my life where I was involved in a legal case, and I met lots and lots of men in their 60s and 70s that were raped relentlessly as 7-year-olds and 6-year-olds, and they never told anybody. And I listened to their stories firsthand, and that's when it really, I mean, you know, a lot of people watching this have heard about it. They, you know, they don't necessarily know what it really is about and how unbelievably horrific it is. And I as an outsider, as a non-survivor, as a non-victim, although saying that, I found out a few years ago that my dad was raped by a very dark man who ended up running a religious cult in my village. And you said it, in the villages, you know, and I'm from the villages of England. So, and he must have been a Satanist hiding behind Jesus. That whole church got closed down a couple of years ago, I was pleased to report, because of the amount of people that came out and said they were abused. And this is what this is why it's about. And I've been saying the same thing for quite a long time now. It's time to just not care. You know, when I started doing this YouTube channel, I had to look myself in the eye. I had no choice. God asked me to do it. And even saying that sentence sounds crazy sometimes, but that's exactly what happened.
Same for me. So I understand what you're saying. Yeah,
you nodded, and I'm sort of explaining to anybody watching it. And I had to look myself in the eye and go, this is do or die. And it is, I'm saying this to people watching, it's do or die time. Because if we don't stand up for what's right now, they will, this is a genocide we're in, and it's a satanic genocide. It's not some corporations. It's not a confederacy of dunces making bumbling error after bumbling error. This is a coordinated, full-on, full-scale attack against the human race because of adrenochrome, because we're nothing to them, because they worship Lucifer. It's as simple as that. The BBC is a satanic organization. All the banks are satanic. The car that you drive contains a logo that is likely to represent the planet Saturn, which is satanic, which is Satan, right? Everything. London Underground symbol is a satanic symbol. It's everywhere. And I'm only saying this for the people watching this who are new to this. And there's loads of things I want to ask you. I've written a load of questions here, but one thing that pops to the top of my head is: did you ever see my poem "We See You"?
Did you send me that?
I don't think I have. You seen it?
I feel like I've seen that. We See
Can I show
You.
it?
No, it was going round a little while ago, wasn't it? Yes. You didn't send it to me. Sorry, because people do send me poems, which is wonderful. No, I saw it. Actually, it was my right-hand woman, as I call her, Lydia Lowe. She pointed that out to me. So, yeah, I can't remember it word for word right now, but, yeah, I've seen it. And I remember it, yeah, being...
I'd like to show it to you because God gave it to me.
Yes.
Can I?
Yes, please.
And then I've got a load of questions for you. So it's not about me. I just want to. I've never played this to somebody in your position, and I'd like to, if that's okay.
Please.
Just got to find it now. Here it is. Right. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, here it comes.
We see you. The scales have fallen from our eyes. The veil has drifted down from the sky, meandering firmly, finally revealing your depth of depravity. That's fear you're now feeling. We see you. Your demonic bloodlust laid bare to see. The statue of filth on the BBC. The prince and the madam. The crisper spy. The islands of horrors in the ocean lie. We see you. A billion souls stolen over the years. You hit them deep down to drown their tears. Perfect and innocent, God's own creations, mutilated by your sick machinations. We see you. Vlad the Impaler and his vile descendants, fleeing the palace from the 5D ascendants. The virus distracted, but gave us the time to peel back the layers of your heinous crimes. We see you. Run, run as fast as you can. Back for more orders from the Phoenician clan. Out of White Rabbit, the looking glass cracked. Tipping point reached, odds against you now stacked. We see you. Pizza and hot dogs, pasta and sauce. Your sickness decoded your lack of remorse. Our slumber is over, our eyes not wide shut. For the children of Haiti, a knife to your gut. We see you. Ascension is powered by the light of the flare. Scramble like rats to the ruins of your lairs. It's over, it's over. Save our children, we cry. Revealed, reviled. It's your soul's time to die. We see you.
Whoa. Wow. I remember hearing that for the first time, and it's just had exactly the same impact on me again. That's so powerful in every way, because it makes me want to scream with like, yes, yes, yes. But also,
if you're in our YouTube advertising masterclass, you've seen just how powerful YouTube ads can be. But what I want to invite you to do is schedule a strategy call with our YouTube ads advisors.
Go away. Right. Sorry about that. That was the black view interfering.
Yeah.
They don't like it.
No, they don't like it. It comes with me, I'm afraid.
That's okay. I can take it.
Yeah, I know you can. But no, Mark, it was awesome. Because the thing is, not only are you giving hope to the situation of, you know, your time's up, but also you're hitting on some things there that are heartbreakingly true, you know. So it's a mixed thing for me watching that. But yeah, I mean, amazing and hopeful, because we are going to win. End of. It's written. It's done.
Well, for me, it just came out as a culmination of years of looking into this, but it just came out one day, and it was a statement from God.
Yeah,
you're done, and it was a very strong, like an oak tree statement. Like, you ain't getting any further now. You're done. This is it. You're over. And you know, and anybody watching that, go and look at the words, because it's encoded. There's loads of things. The purpose of that poem is to get people to go, what does that mean? And then go and look it up, because most people don't do that. So anybody watching this, if you don't understand any of the words in there, go and look them up. If you don't know what white rabbit is, go and look it up. If you don't know what CRISPR is, go and look it up, because that's what this is all about.
And then it all leads into different pathways, and you know, and this is how people need to educate themselves. And you know, it's easier for people now, because you've got people like me sitting there educating. I mean, if you go on my SRA page, I've spent hours and hours and hours doing lives there, literally just educating people on satanic ritual abuse and doing Q&As. So, you know, Joe Public that doesn't know anything about this can ask me whatever they want, and I put myself through hell and back for it, you know. But all the education is out there now. People can learn from the top to the bottom, you know, the ins and outs, just from watching my stuff, let alone the other survivors out there. So there's no excuse. You can't plead ignorance anymore.
Well, you used a word in your introduction that I've heard them use all the time as a way of just putting it under the carpet. I think it was Boris that used the word spaffing money up the wall on historical. The word they use is historical. What else can it be other than historical?
It's historical if it happened a week ago.
Yesterday, an hour ago. It's historical. And they use this historical. There's so many things people don't know. Like Theresa May's dad was wiped from the internet when she became Home Secretary. That was one of the first things she did as Home Secretary, to wipe all trace of her dad's history, who was a priest who was involved with a mass murderer, who was a doctor who murdered more people than Harold Shipman. Margaret Thatcher's dad was a grocer, we're told, in the east of England, but he was a well-known pederast and Freemason. Ted Heath was possessed by a demon, no question. This is when I started really finding out about it, because he used to eat at a restaurant that was owned by my friend's dad. And I heard all sorts of horrible stories 30 years ago about him. And I was shocked beyond belief, because at the time I was in the military.
I can vouch for that one, Mark.
Oh, what did you?
Yeah.
Ted Heath?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, see, I don't know. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, people need to look into this. I mean, look, you can tell me what. I'm not going to probe you about what happened, but that's up to you. But people need to know. Ted Heath is just one example, right? And he was prime minister when I was a kid, right? And every prime minister, Churchill was a satanic paedophile.
Yeah, it was.
And why do you think he went to Morocco? I lived in Morocco. He was there all the time. Why? Young boys. That's what Morocco is famous for. Go and watch Prick Up Your Ears with Joe Orton. You'll see. All of them. George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton were in helicopters shooting children in hunting parties. Go and do the research. This is real, and it's just amazing that when there is a survivor sitting there talking about it, or standing up and talking about it, it really you've got to be. If people ignore you, they've either got no soul, or they're part of it. And it's amazing how many people are part of this that you would never, ever suspect. They are masters at hiding themselves and integrating themselves into society, especially in positions in the high places. And I think this is one of the things that I found hardest, Jeanette, is convincing people. Because the answer I get back is, don't be ridiculous. They'd never get away with it. And why would they do it? They've got everything they possibly need. You know, the royal family, what? That's outrageous that you're saying that. And, you know, they're in government. Of course they would. You've got to trust the government. Or they're a teacher, or they're a well-respected professor, or they're the head of the police. Don't be ridiculous. Don't be ridiculous, Mark. That's what I get. That's what I've had over the years. But they're the worst, right?
Absolutely the worst. Every single thing you just named there, I can tell you 100% from my own experience, are involved in satanic cults. Every single thing you just mentioned. And the way they get away with it is because they're all involved. So they have Satanists in every institution. For example, the police, children's services, our judiciary, system. There's the Satanists in all of them. So that's how they get away with it. The higher up you go, the worse they are, so the more let's call them the elites, even though I don't think they deserve any of those names, VIPs or anything, but the elites of our country, who I suffered the worst at their hands than anyone else. And I obviously was abused by many Satanists over a 10-year period. So whether that was my direct family, or because my grandfather was like the head of the cult, and or the visitors that used to come, the elites, and the police used to come and, for example, bang on the door. They'd come into the home. I would be raped there and then by these police. I'd be bundled into a police car, and I'd be driven to, let's just say, a stately home, where then I would be used for days for rituals and hunting games, and then police would be there protecting the parameters, and then the police would take me home again and dump me back off. So the police were heavily involved in what I went through, heavily.
Do you know about common purpose?
Common purpose? Tell me, what do you mean? In what regard?
So there's a channel called UK Column, and there's a chap on there called Brian Gerrish. And Brian Gerrish first came to my attention, 12, 15 years ago. And he started talking about, because I couldn't understand how they managed to do this. Everybody should go research common purpose, because common purpose is a bit like the Freemasons, except it puts itself out there as, and Masonism is a satanic organization, by the way.
Yes, it is a shop front for Satanism.
Yeah. Doesn't mean that the low-level Masons don't necessarily know that, because this is my opinion, they recruit through rituals the psychopaths up the ladder. And the higher up.
The 33rd degree is where you will actually do an actual sacrifice. Okay, so from the 33rd degree really is where you are full-on Satanist, let's say. But the levels below that, they're not completely blind to what's going on, because the rituals they do, ceremonies, whatever they call them, they are still satanic, but they're not doing the heavy stuff. So there'll be an idea, but the lower levels, the beginning levels, probably don't know anything. But don't think that they're innocent to the 33rd degree, because they're not. They do know what's going on. It's just they'll start making their choices to whether or not they're going to hit 33rd or opt out, So, yeah, but carry on.
Absolutely. You just have to ask yourself questions. How did Jimmy Savile get away with it? He was a Satanist. He was
procuring the children
yes.
for the royals.
Yes.
That's how he got away with it, because they were protecting his satanic arse, weren't they? Because he was procuring the children for them.
He was the most protected man in Britain.
100%.
And what do? They put them on TV, right? They put, not how sick is this? Not only do they put them on TV, they create a TV show for him, surrounded by children, with kids like me writing to him every week. Dear Jim, please let me come and sit on your knee. Harvesting children. That's what they've done. They've done it on such a massive scale. And I want to talk about this, actually, because hidden in plain sight is one of the key tenets of Masonry. And they do it. They hide their symbolism. I mentioned the car logos and the underground. And all these symbols are right in your face. And if you are looking at a forest, but all you can see is the tree in front of you, you can't see the forest. And that's how this works. That's how they've managed to hide it so well. Plus all the underground stuff, plus control of all the media, control of all the companies. The whole system is satanic, but we're going to beat them.
We are beating them. And what people mustn't underestimate is the spiritual war side. You know, this is a war between darkness and light, without a doubt, you know, and this is why I managed to survive the way I have, is because the light that protects me, the darkness can't touch anymore. You know, obviously in the 10 years of my childhood in a cult, the darkness was, you know, in my world daily, but I always had that light. And I think that's why I managed to live. I've yet to meet another survivor of the farm where I was held captive for the rituals and things. I don't know whether I am the only survivor. I hope not. But so people need to really understand this is a spiritual war. I also believe spiritually, and the light has already won, you know, it's written, but we need to manifest that on the earth plane. And this is why everybody now needs to literally stop caring, stop worrying. It's game over. You know, our system, there's no saving anything. Everything is going to break. Everything is going to go to shit. It's going to get so messy, but it has to, because then we rebuild, and we rebuild the planet in the way that we need it to leave it for the generations coming up, you know, our children, our grandchildren, and, you know, all the babies that are being born every day. So it's absolutely crucial now that everybody is as brave as they can be, because if they're not, their world's going to fall apart so big anyway. And when we have won this war, you want to be sitting on the right side of history.
Exactly.
You know, you want to be able to sit there and go, I was part of that. I fought that war. I fought for those children and those babies. You know, if people could look into my head, which is why I try and do what I do, you know, I speak openly about this now. My story is out there. It's public domain and everything else. If people could see what I live with just for an hour a day, you know, the things that I've seen, the babies and children that I've seen mutilated and tortured and, you know, murdered and hung up on meat hooks and their blood drained and innards taken out. I mean, just the worst possible atrocities are in my head, and I sit with them in my head every day of my life, knowing that it's still happening, that there'll be a child or a baby going through that probably now as we're speaking, right? So when people think, oh my God, I can't cope with this, for one, if you don't start coping with it, one day when all this is exposed and the reality of the world we're living in is out there, you're going to have a freaking heart attack anyway. So start weaning yourself into it now. But also think about what the children are going through. Think about what the next child to be sacrificed on these royal stately homes is going to go through. You know, there are dungeons underneath these places that are set up so massively for torture, and there are children in them now as we speak. They will be being prepared for the 21st of June, the next big ritual date. I was held in captivity for 3 to 5 days before a big ritual date where I was starved. I was chained up. I had tubes stuck down my throat and up my bottom to, you know, cleanse me out, and because they want it as pure as possible. I was drugged. I mean, the most horrific things. And then after rituals, I would be put into a coffin and buried in the ground and left there, because that's then part of the brainwashing, you know, the silencing treatment. So when people lack courage to wake up to the truth of this planet, you're being complicit with allowing it to still happen. And I can't dress that up for anyone. You know, no. You can't bottle out this. There are children going through, and what I've just literally given you, like a handful of little details there. Trust me, that's a tiny, tiny drop in the ocean of what I could tell you. And I'm happy to tell anybody. But you have to stand up and take your place in this fight. Because if we all do that, it's over for them. We can rebuild this planet and our children can be safe.
Well, it's about the future of the whole race.
Yes, literally.
You know, there's nowhere else to go now. You cannot hide from this anymore. Nobody can hide from this anymore because it's affecting everybody.
And they're coming for our children.
Oh, yeah.
And we know that with the jabs and what they're doing in the schools. But what they're actually coming for is a never-ending supply of adrenochrome. They want free access, which is why the mass genocide is happening. They're going to get rid of the weak. Don't want to know. They want all that out, and they want control of who's left. They want a never-ending supply of adrenochrome. They want us to have no rights over our children, so that they can take them and use them for what they want, you know. And this is reality. You know, I've had attempts of every label you can imagine put on me. I am not a walking mental health issue in any way, shape or form. You know, yes, of course I have serious trauma, but I can articulate my memories and I can articulate my world very well, you know. So you can't, the taboo has got to go, you know. It's got to go. I survived this for a reason, and it's so I can sit here and doing what I'm doing in 2021. You know, 2020 started this whole war, you know. Actually, you know, it started long before that, Mark, but actually 2020 is when it came to light, right? And 2021 is about disclosures and exposure and, you know, taking away their power. So we're all here in this moment for this exact time, you know, and me included. So people need to start validating, because I don't sit here out of fun. You know, I put myself through hell reliving my memories week in, week out to do my part in this. So when people want to question me, you want to ask that, you know, what am I getting out of this? What am I getting out of this? You know, sleepless nights, actually, and exhaustion and, you know, reliving horrors. But I'm not going to stop, because there are children still going through this. Every single person on this planet that isn't involved needs to get on board and fight with us.
Yeah, my grandmother, God bless her, it was about 5 or 6 years ago before she died. I asked her, I said, why didn't you tell anybody? Why didn't you do anything about this? And she just looked at me with tears in her eyes and just said, we were too scared. Because this guy was a priest. And I'm bringing that up because it's time for fear to be put to one side. Courage involves fear, right? Truly courageous people are just as scared as you are, if not more so, but then decide, I don't mean you, I mean the audience. You're incredible. Well, we all are. We're all scared. But true courage is standing up and saying, well, okay, you know, this is too important. It's too important. I did a video a few weeks ago called Are You a Collaborator? And I think this aligns with what you've just said, because right now, anybody that's not doing something to look into the truth of what's going on is a collaborator. And it will be, everything's being judged. We're in the middle of Judgment Day. Judgment Day is not one day, it's now. It's everything. Everything that you're doing is being judged. I know this. And, you know, you must spread this message far and wide. You must do your own research. If you're in England, go to London on the 26th and show Jeanette's support. What else is happening that day, Jeanette?
So what we'll be doing is we'll be meeting in Hyde Park at 12. We will obviously kick off with speeches. There are going to be survivors like myself. I am going to stand up and tell my story. I will also, I'm not quite sure to what clarity at the moment, but I will be obviously letting people know who my abusers were. Other survivors are going to tell their stories. I'm going to be, there'll be other speakers that are very well qualified to speak on this subject, giving a lot of, again, education and information. We will then march. So after that, we'll march to, you know, the appropriate locations where this stuff happens. And then we will have speakers going on outside those. There's going to be a lot of info given that day, a lot of exposure. And then we'll come back to Hyde Park. We've got a beautiful lady there that's going to be doing some live singing. So it's not all going to be doom and gloom. It's going to be a lovely event. At the end, we will be doing a vigil for all the babies and the children that have died at the hands of Satanists. So it's going to be a beautiful day. It's going to not be an easy day for anybody involved, but it is a day that absolutely needs to happen. It's the one event that the government do not want to happen. But already this event has gone global. We have 8 cities now in Australia marching with us on the 26th of June to expose satanic ritual abuse. We have New Zealand marching with us. We've just found out this morning that we have New York, USA marching with us. Denmark are marching. So it's growing by the day. And I'm just completely humbled by that, you know, because when I come up with this sort of couple of months ago and decided to do it, you know, me, little old me, I didn't think for a second, you know, this would be happening. You know, it's a global event, and it's just, but it's thing is, Mark, it's just so important. It's so important, because there is no time more perfect than the time this is going to be happening, because this is the time where everything the truth needs to come out, and people need to stand up and go, no more.
Yeah, and if anybody's watching this that, I don't know, you probably get this, you probably had this when people go, oh, she's making it up, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you know, write these things down. I'm going to give you a list of things to go and research, because you can find this information. Write down Dolphin Square, historical abuse. Write down Elm Guest House, right? Cliff Richard, Melvin Bragg. Look these things up. Childline, Esther Ransom. You think that was helping children? No. Look up Holly Gregg. Look at Robert Greene. Robert Greene, I met David Icke at Wembley about 10 years ago, and I shook his hand. That man basically was murdered because he tried to expose this stuff. Thousands, millions of people, not the children, people have been trying to expose this for years and years and years, and they kill them. Right? But God is on our side now, and God's always been on our side. But we owe a debt to so many people that you've never heard of. You wouldn't believe it. Okay, and Jeanette deserves your support. And this video, you must send it to everybody you can, or any information that Jeanette's put out there. Send it to everybody. Wake your family up. You know, they're being murdered in front of our eyes for something that's so despicable. It's almost beyond belief. But Jeanette here proves it isn't beyond belief. It's not a sci-fi film. It's not a horror movie. This is real life. This is real. Look at the Hampstead kids. Sorry, on one there.
You go for it, Mark, because that's exactly how people need to be. You know, it's good for me to hear that passion and that rage, because you know, if people don't wake up to this, they're walking themselves straight into slavery anyway, because that's going to be the option in the end. You stand up or you become one of their slaves. There'll be no middle ground. We've
all been slaves forever, but this is like extreme slavery. That's their plan. The Great Reset, the Agenda 21, Agenda 30 is all about turning this prison, what's already a prison planet, into one where they don't have to hide anymore. Where there's a one world government where they come out and say, yeah, we worship Lucifer, so will you, or we're going to kill you. That's what this is all about. It's turning the whole world. Look at the 2012 Olympic ceremony. Anybody watching?
Oh, God.
The 2012 Olympic ceremony was a massive satanic ritual.
You know? 100%. And you know what, even somebody that has no, you know, is what I call a sleep still, whatever. Even now, if they just go and look at that ceremony and look at what's playing out with this, you know, the scam demic, it's all there. It's all there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Even Boris was in it.
Exactly.
And the kids in the beds. I mean,
a few years ago, all this research that people like you and I have done over the years and stuff, it was hard to come by, but it's all there now. It's all so easily accessible. All the hard work's been done. You know, you've got people like me speaking out, putting ourselves through risk after risk, you know, to do this. You've literally just got to go anywhere online now, put in anything, and you get the truth. Now the problem is the cognitive dissonance. Yeah. Now it's what people's capacity to want to accept that truth is. But they need to be warned, you know, because if you don't start accepting the truth and fighting on the right side of the fence, it's game over for you, because you will walk yourself into slavery, and every other child around you will go with you.
Well, it's not just that, it's your eternal soul.
Well,
you know, this life is 3D, you know, but the real consequences are beyond this. So look, I've got loads of things. I mean, we could go into depth about all of these things. And
give me some of your questions, Mark.
No, I don't think it's necessary, because not right now, not for this, because you know, what you've given me in the last 42 minutes has been huge, and what you're doing for the world is huge, and I'm just extremely grateful for that. And I don't want to go raking things up. I don't need to rake things up from you. I already know who you are and what you're about, and I think anybody watching this will know that too. And I think we've made the message very clear. And if you ever do want to go further into any of this, then my door's always open. You know how to get hold of me directly, so that's all good. Is there anything you want to say? Anything you want to finish on for this event? And you know, if you want to do a live chat on YouTube on the day, because it's highly unlikely that I'll be able to make it to England, but if there's a way of getting across to England without any testing or bollocks, then I will get over. But and that's a possibility. I've been discussing that this morning as a possibility, because I've not seen my mum in 18 months for a start. But if I can get over next week, I'll come down to London. But if you want to do a live on my channel, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. There'd be a lot of live streaming going on, obviously, and filming and things like that. I mean, I'll be going live from my SRA page, because my ban will be over by then. But yeah, no, whatever support anyone can give with, you know, going live and getting it out to the world, really. And
it's really about that. It's really about that. It's just about telling, researching, facing up to it, telling as many people as possible.
And, you know, if people do want to learn more immediately, you know, they can find me on Facebook. It's supporting satanic ritual abuse survivors. They obviously, you know my name. I can send a link over to you, Mark, if you want to put it in. But just go and educate yourself. Everything's on there. You can learn about satanic ritual abuse, but you need to learn about satanic ritual abuse. And, you know, not for me, not for anyone, but the children and the babies that are still going through this week in, week out. We need to save our children. It's as simple as that. You know, the children need us. It's my hashtag, by the way, children need us. But because they do. We need to fight for them. And like you say, fear, we can't switch that off. We're human, but what we can do is step around it and keep going. We cannot let fear get in the way, because also the fear is what strengthens them, the darkness, the Satanists. Our fear strengthens them. So spiritually, trust the light, trust that we're going to win this, and fight with everything you've got. Expose this. Don't worry about what people think about you. You know, don't worry about people mocking and ridiculing. It happens. It happens all the time. I get it week in, week out. I get attacked all the time for speaking out, because there are Satanists and just, you know, not very nice people that want me to be silent. Well, I'm not going to be silent ever again. So support survivors for finding the courage to break their silence, because believe you me, what we go through in cults to keep us silent, again, is a whole other level of torture and brainwashing and, you know, atrocities that are off the scale just to keep us silent, let alone the rituals and the rapes and, you know, everything else. So just support this now and recognize that it would be nice for me to be able to sit here and say otherwise, but this planet is demonic. It is demonic. It is run by Satanists. Doesn't matter whether you believe Satan's real. They do. They do. Okay. And believe me, that darkness, the darkness is real. You have to, everybody has to now do whatever it is they can do in their power. You know, whether it is attend the rally on the 26th, but if you can't get there, share everything that comes out. Go and learn about it. Speak to your neighbours, speak to your family. You're going to lose people anyway. You know, we're all going to lose people. We're all going to have people that we've not been able to wake up and are going to go and get the second jib jab and end up gone anyway, you know. So we know what's coming. We cannot shy away from this now. This is the time on our planet. This is biblical. This is the time on our planet where you really want to be fighting on the right side of history now. So just do whatever you can, please.
Thank you, Jeanette. Best of luck. Stay in touch.
Yes.
I hope if there's any way I can get to London, I'll be there.
That would be amazing, Mark.
Yeah, take care. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Take care. Thank you.
Take care.